Okay, this is important. The point of view stuff is important because that is exactly why we have so much anti-whiteism. Okay, from both sides, from the non-white and the white fallacy side of it as well. Okay, the reason we have so much anti-whiteism is because non-whites do not ever consider the white perspective. And that's okay to a point, but because in general, I think you should just worry about yourself, worry about your own kind. But obviously, we wouldn't have so much anti-whiteism if they considered us. If non-whites said, hey, let's think about whites. What's their perspective? How do they feel about this getting erased and discriminated against and harmed all the time? Well, obviously, if they considered our point of view about it and how we're constantly harmed and victimized, they wouldn't keep up with the anti-whiteism, obviously. If you consider the viewpoint of your victim from their standpoint, obviously, you're not going to continue victimizing them. Well, how do they feel? Probably not good. We should stop victimizing them with anti-whiteism. Stop erasing them. Obviously, the anti-whiteism would not continue so much if they considered our point of view. Obviously, the perpetrator committing a crime obviously does not consider the point of view of their victim. Someone murdering someone, someone robbing someone, stealing from someone, whatever it is, obviously they're not considering who they're murdering, who they're stealing from, who they're doing whatever to. They're obviously not considering that at all. That's not in their process at all. What they're thinking about is get what they can, do what they want. They're thinking about themselves. So this is the point I want to make here. The anti-whiteism would not be such an issue if they considered our point of view, right? Then they would realize that it's wrong and stop doing it. And from our side of the equation, also, the anti-whiteism would not be at such a high level if we considered our point of view. If we were not so insistent and sick with always considering every other viewpoint than our own. This is sickness. It's sickness on the non-white perspective, the anti-white perspective. It's also sickness from our perspective to never consider our own viewpoints. And this sickness of always feeling the need to consider other non-white perspectives. This is a sickness. This is not normal at all. I'm here to tell everybody, we need to stop doing this as a race. And the reason whites are white, and listen, and it always gets me because every time I hear crap like this or read crap like this, it's always from a white person. Always. It's always whites who are like, let's consider that perspective and this perspective, everything but our own. Let's always consider the perspective of the people erasing us. No, fuck that perspective. I'll consider my own perspective. Always whites doing this, feeling the need to consider the other perspective, feeling the need to constantly wish well to everybody except for themselves. Why is this? Well, this happens because of white guilt. Okay, we all understand this, but this is important. It all happens because we are the only ones guilty. That's why we're the only ones who do this. So when whites are always like, oh, I wish well to the world, peace, love, happiness, constantly, let's consider them, blah, blah, blah. This is all to assuage the white guilt that is perpetrated on us constantly. And you need to throw all that away and say, screw the white guilt. I'm going to look out for myself. Damn the white guilt. Just damn it all and fight. That's the attitude. So again, non-whites do not look at any other perspective other than their own. That's one of the main reasons anti-whiteism has been allowed to persist for so long. Whites do the opposite. We look at every perspective except for our own. So obviously what needs to happen is we whites need to look at our own perspective. That's the bottom line. Look at things from our perspective. And we all know this, and it sounds like an obvious point, but this is very important. This is a big reason. The perspective issue being so screwed up is a big reason why the anti-whiteism has been allowed to get to such insane levels. It's what's allowed the anti-whiteism to persist from a non-white anti-white perspective, and it's what causes whites to just let it happen. If you're not looking at things from your perspective as a victim, you're not going to fight back, you're not going to do anything about it. So we just let it go even farther. We need to just look at what we can do. They're wrong, but we need to not make it any worse, okay? And do what we can to reverse it. So I'll just end off by saying two things. We white Westerners are the only ones without countries. And I promise you this, as a world traveler myself, Western countries, Western kind, are the only ones without countries. We are the only people on the planet that don't have countries. And it really aggravates me when I travel to really see this in my face. And then come back home and see such retardation. Our countries are the only countries that are for everybody. In other words, our countries are the only countries that don't belong to anybody. Definitely do not belong to us. Why is it that only Western countries are totally open like this and considered for everybody? Because we have been targeted. Anti-whites knew that once upon a time they were our country, they were created by us, but now it's a totally different thing because of all the propaganda, anti-whiteism, etc. And the effect of all that is that countries have been completely taken away from us. We don't have countries at all. We're all like nomads. I promise you, every other non-Western countries, they're different. Those people have countries. We do not. Western countries are the only ones that are like this. Because we are the only ones that have been targeted to be destroyed, be erased, and have our homelands taken away. We are the only ones on the face of the earth, I promise you, Western kind, without countries. Secondly, we are the only ones on the face of the earth that are being erased. Western kind. That's what we need to focus on. That's looking at it from our perspective. We, Western kind. This is our perspective, okay? Looking at it from our perspective leads you to this obvious realization. And it's easy to have this when you've traveled a lot. And this was my journey, realizing, wow, my people, Western kind, are the only ones without countries. We've had them taken away. And my people, Western kind, are the only ones being erased, being targeted on the face of the earth. And we are already a minority, 7% of the world population, and falling. Probably less than that now. That is our perspective. That's the way we need to look at it. And say, we got a lot of bad things happening to us. What gives? Right? And then that is the beginning of looking out for yourself. Defend ourselves and survive. Long live the West.